Hello, this is just a quick response. I thought it would be better to respond with some video rather than trying to fit everything into a bunch of tweets. Response to the recent opinion piece that was put into This is Reno as to why I differ in opinion, just slightly, but different in opinion from Kai regarding the quote-unquote micro-mobility lanes and pilot project and everything. And I'm going to use the term as much as I can, human mobility, just to preface, because micromobility is a stupid word. It's like, it's human mobility. It's the size of a human. Basically, cars are macromobility. So if you were to look at it from that perspective, what is the type of transportation that best matches the scale of the human that it's transporting? I understand that because we are so car-centric, we understand that, well, cars run our lives. We practically can't exist without having a car, right? And yes, I do agree with him that it is essentially, well, I don't know if I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I do believe that cars are crippling our ability to create a proper infrastructure because, like he points out, 40% of people don't have a license. So this would not only increase the scale of traffic for people that don't have cars, but it would also decongest at the same time. Okay, so let me tell you the reason why I don't think Center Street is a good street for a cycle path or a cycle track or whatever you want to call it. The Dutch call them fietspad, meaning bike paths. Now, another preface: what is a bike path and what is a bike lane? We seem to be having a problem distinguishing between these two. When I say we, I mean like me and just about everyone else that I talk to. A bike lane is not a bike path. A bike lane is paint put onto a automobile road where the bicycles act as guests onto their network. That's why there's so much conflict. That's why there's so much weaving in and out and people complaining and accidents and everything, right? You know, there's collision points. It's like trying to put a railroad track with cars driving on top of it. You don't see that too often, not unless you're like in some rural Kentucky street that, you know, hasn't been updated for 200 years. Okay. So it's generally, I would hope that people could agree, it's generally bad to place automobiles on railroad tracks, even if it's paved, because you're going to have issues. You're going to have conflict points. You're going to have a drastic scale difference between the modes of transportation. So what the Dutch do and what several European countries do is they disentangle the two different networks, or at least in the Netherlands, they disentangle 4 different types of network traffic. They disentangle automobiles from trams, meaning street cars, and they disentangle it from pedestrian traffic, foot traffic, and from bicycle traffic. And by the way, bicycle traffic in the Netherlands, their fietspad also allows a place for micro cars. They call micro, it's like basically they're like for disabled people that can't use a bike, but they are like teeny tiny little cars that are like, imagine like a wheelchair that has 4 wheels and a motor, and it takes up just as much room as a wheelchair would. Okay, so that they have these little micro cars, and they also have mopeds using the bike paths, which in some cases is legal, in some cases is not legal. But the scale of the traffic, the scale of the transportation method is they separate them. And for every time that they have a different type of transportation mode, they will put buffers, actual buffers, not painted buffers, although in some cases they do still only have painted buffers, okay? But they actually have separate networks. And each of these is, forgive me for my translation, but it basically means main networks, hoofnet, I believe this is what the word is. And they also, on top of that, give priority to these different types of networks depending on the density or the walkability that they're aiming for in any particular area. So why am I not for Center Street? It would appear on the offset that I want bicycle traffic to be placed somewhere out of the way, or you know what, we need to give priority to vehicles no matter what. That's not the case. The reason why I don't like Center Street is because you have to examine how the designers, the traffic engineers crafted these different streets. So so I turned this map 90 degrees. So over here to my left, I don't know if you can see my tiny little cursor, but over to my left is north. Over to my right is south. The reason why I'm turning this 90 degrees is because it fits on a monitor better. I could just turn it back normal, but whatever. Okay, so this is the main collision point between UNR and the entertainment district of downtown. You have a freeway. You have a freeway that was installed in the 1960s and basically leveled through several blocks of Victorian neighborhoods as it led from downtown up to the campus of UNR before all of this expansion was added. I mean, UNR was still a very small school footprint, okay? So here is Center Street and the freeway. This acts as a one-way collector road, which people can access the on-ramp if they're heading east, and Sierra Street acts as the off-ramp if people are trying to get off the freeway and to get onto Sierra Street. So both of these, even though it may not look like it, is a very long roundabout. You have one-way traffic going south, and then you have one-way traffic going north. I anticipate that as the density of the roads gets bigger, it gets more and more dense, we are eventually going to have to turn all of Center Street into a one-way traffic street that will probably end up losing a lot of parking space. They're complaining about how parking space will be gone if we take a cycle track up. Well, I have a feeling all of this is eventually going to end up having to be automobile traffic simply because of the way that people are trying to access the freeway. All right, so south heads over to Liberty. Once you get to Liberty, then all of a sudden Sierra Street turns into Plumas or California Street, but that whole area there is kind of a mess. And as soon as you get to Plumas, it turns into small residential neighborhood that has one-way traffic on each side and continues all the way down to the very south of town that eventually ends up in golf courses and homes for the old southwest, the old southwest portion of Reno. And that is going to have a trouble area right there because unlike the east side, which has Holcomb and Center, you have on the west side no main thoroughfare for traffic. So I have a feeling that eventually some of these areas here, unless automobile traffic is completely, well, not completely, but nearly eradicated in the next 20 years, you're probably going to end up having to turn Plumas Street into a major artery. That's going to become a mess. Okay, so right now is a good time to mediate this and plan for the future by introducing quote unquote micromobility into the infrastructure. All right, so that's the reason why I think that Center Street is not a good place for a cycle track or a cycle path, a separated path. Examining the area, I have determined, and this is where I'm leading my conclusions to for RTC in the city of Reno, to take Evans, which is a bypass essentially for the school. It's on the easternmost portion of the school, which connects all the way up to Nevada Department of Transportation territory, right? NDOT, all the way down, and already has, and I don't know if there it is. Good. Google Earth captured it. They already have a Fiat's pad. They already have a separated cycle track, which unfortunately is not painted red or green or whatever. or made of green or red asphalt. It's simply just, it's raised up. Okay, I took a little tour over there. It's wonderful. It's on a curb. You don't even, for this area, you didn't even need to have a buffer because, like, you know, unless some idiot is going to like park on the freaking sidewalk, they are very unlikely to park on this cycle track. So this cycle track continues all the way down. It's already built. It goes around the perimeter of the school and continues south, and until all of a sudden it just dumps into nothing. I have a feeling that eventually their plans are to continue the cycle track down accordingly past all of these homes here, which would be a great place because that means these homes could also have access to it. It would also act as automatic traffic calming for side intersections if they put continuous sidewalks. Continue down all the way here, to which I have seen the plans from RTC to turn to turn Record Street, I should finish my sentence, to turn Record Street into a connection to 9th Street here. Great idea, because as you turn this way on 9th Street, you're going to have the agricultural place that is going to be more housing soon, and the cycle track can continue through this area and connect directly up to Audi, completely bypassing this old 1960s mess of Wells and Audi, which has not even barely a sidewalk at this point, okay? You don't want cyclists or pedestrian traffic entering this area here. It completely bypasses that. It would make a turn here, and then it would make a turn here and continue south down Evans Street. Evans Street continues all the way down to 6th Street and 5th Street. And this would be a protected intersection here because you do have a lot of cross traffic going down 6th Street, but we're going to continue on further. It's going to go right past the whole area that's used by Apple now for just to store their computers, not a high traffic area. It continues down this area where there's a small little I think it was formerly known as a hotel, but I think it's just apartments now. And then it continues down past the industrial section until you meet up with the Basque restaurant here. Or was that Ethiopian food? I can't remember. Anyway, look where you end up. Right here at the main bus station. And since the cycle track would be on the east side of the road where these cars are parked right here, that would mean that it would not interfere with the line of travel of the buses coming in and out of the bus station. There could be continuous sidewalks heading east and west across the street so people can access the bus station in a safe manner. And then if you continue south, all of a sudden the road narrows. This big parking lot here next to the alleyway is now being turned into a bunch of swanky apartments right across the street from, and hopefully mixed use apartments. I would definitely recommend that because that would bring more commercial venues and more walkability to this area. It's right across the street from the Aces baseball stadium. Okay, now we have a fence here. Okay. I don't know what they're using this area for, but this would be perfect for turning this. So in other words, right here where these cars are parked, this would become the cycle track, two-way cycle track, 10 feet wide, no buffer required, because it would go right next to the sidewalk where a lot of pedestrians are. Can you imagine a bunch of cycles heading directly to the baseball stadium? It would bring lots of, scooters and tourists and everyone there. It would go right past the home thing. And then it continues south. Continues south here. Right here where this is now privately owned land. They are making it into a temporary parking lot for additional parking space for the baseball stadium. Great. Have the cycle track go right between this large parking garage and this parking lot. This was the former site of Chinatown, by the way. This is where, before 1908, a lot of the Chinese immigrants had their houses and their washing places and their brothels. It was all in this location here. It was a nice big family. Okay, so cycle track continues south until you're at a river. What do we do here? Continue it this way. Go right along the perimeter of this area that will probably be future development for condos and high rises and everything. Great. You are still skirting around the vehicle traffic, around the automobile traffic, but you're now in downtown. Okay. If you were to continue down this way, this is the Lake Street Bridge. This bridge eventually is going to have to be replaced. It's slated to be replaced. Why? Because it's too low. It's a coughing point for the flow of the river during high river flow, okay, during flood events. And guess where we're suddenly at? We are right next to the Tahoe Pyramid Bike Trail. It connects directly up with the Tahoe Pyramid Bike Trail. Right now, there's that silly little staircase that heads down to the level of the Lake Street Bridge. When this bridge is raised up by 6 feet or whatever, the Cycletrack could continue from the Tahoe Pyramid Cycletrack, if you will, the bike freeway of the city. It is a bike freeway, just kind of in the rough. I'll get to that in a moment. Can connect directly up to the Evans/Lake/Sinclair/Holcomb Cycletrack. It's a straight line going south. So put the Cycletrack on this side of the bridge, on the east side. It continues down, two-way Cycletrack, right past the old Reno Arch, right past the Automobile Museum. Continues south, past the Lake Mill Lodge, a heavy residential area, which really needs upgrading. Continues past this residential development. Continues past this residential development. You see where I'm going here? This is where all of the people live. And eventually it gets to this very narrow little area, which I examined for an entire hour during rush hour. Most people are using Sinclair as a little bypass to deal with the fact that Holcomb at Mill, a couple of blocks east of here, suddenly terminates and goes nowhere. So people are taking this tiny little one-way, each-way road, street, a residential street, to get from Holcomb to downtown. It's a mess. Most of the people are using it as a bypass. So the Cycletrack continues down this street, down a residential, single resident home, a historic area. There are some multifamily homes here. There are some apartments. And suddenly, where are you at? You are at Holcomb. Plenty of space for a Cycletrack. This used to be the right-of-way for the Virginia and Truckee Railroad. This is a very wide thoroughfare. It is the size of an arterial, but it doesn't get that kind of traffic because if I were to pan this camera around 180 degrees, you will see if you head up north, you end up at a dead end at Mill Street. It goes nowhere. Once upon a time, it would have been wonderful, before all of this development happened, it would have been wonderful to connect Holcomb directly up to Valley in the same way that Wells connects to Audi, but they didn't do it. Okay, whatever. Opportunity lost, but opportunity gained. If you turn Holcomb into the major cycle path, which connects up to Sinclair, which connects up to Evans, which connects up to Lake, you will have a nice, even graded downslope, very wide, can be turned into a wonderful green space. And when you get to here, my computer cannot handle with the amount of calculations. When you get to here, you're suddenly at a park. What does this park connect up to? The Virginia Rapid bus station or bus line. Okay, this is the bus stop right here, right behind Junkie. This is an older map. It does not show the roundabout that was created here at Mary, Center, and Virginia Street, which, in my opinion, was a mistake to build. I'll show you why in just a moment. But once you get here, you still have plenty of room. Continue down Holcomb, and you are one street away from all of Midtown. In other words, you're in Midtown, but you're just we're talking about like a couple hundred feet at most from all of the action, which is where everyone wants to go. This is where the Center Street Cycletrack would end. This is where the termination of that track would end. But wait, if you make it down Holcomb, you can continue beyond, southward, all the way down to where the Virginia and Truckee right-of-way continues south, where you get these parcels here that are privately owned currently. I mean, but in my opinion, this would be perfect for continuing the cycle track because it heads south even further, right through this parking lot, right past this mall where Sprouts and all of this, I mean, this is a central point for commercial development, right? To the red experience, to where all of the condos and apartments are, to where the movie theater is. You would have a direct cycle path, protected, green spaced, disentangled from the road traffic, all the way from North McCarran Street to Plum, to where the people really need to get to, because there are going to be a lot of people that are living here soon. They already are taking, leases, okay? And it connects you up to Virginia Lake. It connects you up to Peppermill. It connects you up to all of these school areas here, all of these residential areas here. It's 1 block away from Virginia Street. It disentangles the local traffic from the throughway traffic, okay? Perfect. Why aren't we funding this? Why are we so concentrated on Center Street? It still takes you to where you want to go. It bypasses the congestion. It bypasses all of the partying. And the whole reason why I think Virginia Street is not a good place for a throughway cycle path to get from all the way north of UNR to south is because this is a destination area. The entire area here where all these hotels, and this is a major hub for walkability. This is where the tourists go. This is where the partiers go. This is where the gamblers go. And this is where the homeless go. It's all in one place. Why are we trying to stuff everything onto Virginia Street? It makes no sense. It doesn't make sense at all. This entire Virginia Street area, this quadrant, this entertainment district area here, really needs to be closed off to automobile traffic, period, and leave all of the automobile traffic to Sierra Street and Center Street. It's a big roundabout. It's a long roundabout that gets around it. Virginia Street could be turned into a walkable, friendly, wild, crazy, hip place to be. And it doesn't require cars to do that. All of the places to get to these different parking garages are right here off of Center. They're right here off of Sierra. They would have been nuts to create all of these, all of the parking and everything is oriented for garages off of these two side streets. They don't use Virginia Street. They were very, very wise in creating that decision. So we can continue stopping here. We can continue, or we can continue stopping. We can continue talking about things, which I will. This parking garage right here has this gigantic gaping hole in the inside. Okay. The train used to go through here. Now it goes underneath. There are no places for it to connect to any industry. It's not cutting through the entertainment district anymore. It goes underneath. So what do we do with this big gap? We create a bicycle garage, 2-story. The first, 3 stories. The first story has commercial. It has actual buildings, residential parcels created above the railroad tracks that would be perfect for retail space. Bring commercial venues back to Commercial Row. It was called Commercial Row for a reason, people. It was created for commerce. Bring it back. On the second and third floor, a two-level parking garage for everything micromobility. People were asking, well, where should we park all of our scooters? Right here. This is where people can just take them out. And it could be a facility for bikes and for scooters. So you could, you could have a bicycle repair shop underneath here. You could have all sorts of things, because this is the major transportation corridor. This is like a hub. It's not just a parking garage. We're right next to the Greyhound stop. We're right next to Amtrak. If you continue, so my idea for 3rd Street is have this lidded up trench either next to it or on top of it. Continue lidding it. Continue putting a lid on top of it, and continue the lid underneath this parking garage. Just continue the lid. Hey, there you go. There's a hashtag. Continue to lid. Okay. And on the opposite side of this, have a bridge for cycles and pedestrians that starts outside of this 3rd floor, continues over this heavy car burdened center street, and then down slopes to this very little used pedestrian walkway and meets up here at the bridge. People can take their cycles directly to Amtrak without having to encounter a car. And then if they continue on around this little pedestrian area here, it makes a turn until suddenly, guess where you're at again? The bus station. This could be a wonderful place for bicyclists to get to the bus down 3rd Street, all the way from Keystone. If I were to zoom out and show you this entire area, this 3rd Street area going westbound connects directly up to Keystone, which is under renovation. They're going to be redoing it. You could even continue on past this until you get to 4th Street. And then this can also be a cycle track. This cycle track can continue all the way down unimpeded, no problems, no businesses in the way here, all the way over to McCarran, where there's more commercial areas, right? And it can continue on down all the way to meet way, way west of town to the Tahoe Pyramid Bike Trail. See, I'm creating a network. I'm creating a network of cycle paths, not cycle lanes, cycle paths that are separated from the car networks, that are safe, that are fast, that are efficient, and go to, guess where we're at? We're at Idlewild Park. We're at all of this area that's under construction here. What do we do with this? How do we get people from 4th Street to Idlewild Park and Dickerson, where all of the artist colonies are, where all of these condos are, where all of this development is happening, and where where the Oxbow Nature Study area is? How do we connect up 4th Street to this? There used to be a tunnel underneath the railroad tracks. It's still there. You can kind of see the remnants of it. You can still see what's left over. This used to be a tunnel for cars. It connected 2nd Street to 4th Street. Let's bring it back. 7-foot clearance, very shallow. Tunnel underneath the railroad and connect up to Dickerson and 2nd. Right there. And then here, have a bridge, a pedestrian foot and cycle bridge that goes across from Dickerson, across the Truckee River, and you're in Idlewild Park. That means that people who live north of here, who don't want to have to cycle all the way downtown or all the way to Keystone, they can just connect up directly to here. And this would take you to the Crooked Mile. The Crooked Mile is a road that has been around prior to even Idlewild Drive being there. This was the original gateway to this park. This connects you directly up to Idlewild and to the Riverwalk. Here's where the existing pathway, this is a quote-unquote a cycle street. It connects up right there at Booth. See how we can suddenly turn our park into a major transportation hub for cycles, for pedestrians. It's disentangling things from the road network, from the automobile network. We're creating an automobile network for automobiles, and we have our separate network for bicycles. You see how this works? Now, what if you go to, right here's Reno High. So that means that cyclists, students, high schoolers who live over here can suddenly use 4th Street as a cycle path directly into Idlewild, right down to the high school. Major hub. This is an opportunity to turn this area into a transportation hub that goes right past all of this, and you don't have to ruin any of the infrastructure for it. You don't have to tear down any buildings. It takes you right here to the Internal Revenue Service, God forbid. It takes you over to this commerce center here where they're thinking about putting a roundabout because of all of the problems that they're having. It takes you to Foster Drive, which originally the plan for Foster was to turn Keystone, make a right turn, and turn Foster into an arterial road that would connect you to God knows where. I would imagine it would they didn't do that plan. Somehow they changed the plan, and so you got this big wide drag strip of a road that could be turned into two-way cycle path for the students. So what you're doing is you're connecting up all of this, bypassing all of the automobile traffic, connecting it right past this substation, this electrical substation, continuing south, 2A, one side, and suddenly you're on a two-way side. So this is way more than simply just a Center Street track. There's so much possibility here to turn this into a cycle network. And this is part of what I'm working on. It doesn't have to be on Center Street. You are literally still in the middle of downtown. You're bypassing all of the craziness that happens with the partying and everything, and you're getting around it. And I'm sorry, Caesars Entertainment, if you're listening to me here, the Row, anyone who wants to come gamble will still come gamble, even if they're 2 blocks away from your place. Okay, you don't have to have the cyclist directly in front of your place to where they suddenly make a left turn and go into your facilities. They will come, believe me. I've had gambling addiction. I know what it feels like. I will come. Anyway, so and then of course 3rd Street. If you go left and right on east and west on 3rd Street, guess where else it takes you? Jacobs territory, right? So you got the Carano family, you got the Jacobs family, and both of them are battling out for dominance about who loses their money the most. Okay, well, bring your cycle path people right past your locations here. Continues on down. Takes you right through the Neon Line District. Takes you right past the Glow Plaza. Right? No brainer. Let's do this. Right here is some more city-owned property here. Right here's the Maverick Station. There's so much opportunity that we can do here. 5th Street, that's great. Keep it. It's in line with the thing. But I would not keep it the way that it is now. I would raise those one-way paths up off the street at curb level, put them at the same level as the pedestrians walking down the street. Why? Because it does the exact same thing. You just have to pour some concrete, pour some asphalt down for the cyclists, and you have a protected bicycle path. Okay? I know it's going to take a long time to lead up to this. I know it's going to take a lot of incremental baby steps to get people to the level that we're at in my brain, but we need to do this. So it takes you right past the hospital. And what else? I'm going to, okay, calm down. Let me show you what else right here. Okay, so let's go back to Evans for a moment. Here's Valley, here's Evans. Right here is Record Street, where the railroad goes up. Right here, remember, this is 9th and Evans. This is where UNR owns property, and they are working with RTC to connect up the Evans cycle path to 9th Street. Okay, what happens if you continue down 9th Street? Well, there is no 9th Street except up here, and that's going to be heavily car populated because of the auto garage that they're installing. Where do you put the bikes if you want to go east and west? Right in front of UNR, to take people to and from UNR on an east-west trajectory. You use this right-of-way here. Very little known, never used. It's never used. This is a nice flat throughway. Right here's the, this is where all the Victorian homes were. They were either destroyed or moved. This is where the multi-level parking garage is. The cycle path right here can continue down. It's still there. I checked. And when you get to this intersection, it's protected. Put a bike lane, a bike light. Sorry, bikes, you're going to have to stop here. Okay. Why? Because there's going to be a lot of through traffic. Okay. Continues down westbound past Center, past Virginia, past Sierra Street. And all of a sudden, you end up here. What is this? This here is West Street. If you continue down on West Street, you will find that it goes right past all of this area here. They tore it out when they made the freeway. Okay, but what does this do? Well, here's all the frat houses. Here's all the people that go to college and they want to have a wild time. This is their area here, and it goes right past the fraternity house. Look at this. They made this right here. This is the access way now to access this pedestrian bridge that goes across the freeway and ends up at the hospital on Arlington. This is the new way that they planned, and I was very surprised to see it, because what used to happen is people used to have to go through this private property and climb these many stairs, which are not ADA compliant, and ends you up on a place that has no sidewalk at all. And it's a horrible place. I actually saw someone not riding their bicycle, but walking it along this painted area here. It's closed off. Instead, they made this wonderful, very wide access way for people to take West Street to the Arlington pedestrian bridge. I used it. It's still there. Great place for cyclists. So what we're doing in this plan is use the right-of-way that has already been started, continue on all the way along this area, bypassing 9th Street completely until you end up where? At Evans and 9th. Cycle path, disentangled, perfect, wonderful. Now, just suppose at the Arlington pedestrian bridge over the freeway, what happens if you continued it? Because this is where the ore ditch is. The ore ditch continues underneath. Oh, well, what if you just continue on this way, level this downgrade to the freeway, and continue on? A block and a half away, you're at Ralston and Whitaker Park. Another park. Another place where people need to get. Where cyclists can continue this way through the where is now currently a dog park, but is actually underground territory for the ore ditch. Continue it on. Now you're at Washington Street, a great bridge, by the way, for cyclists. It's level. You can have a two-way path on one side. You don't have to climb up a big hill. And continue it westbound down this little pathway that was added on. This is perfect for cycles. It's already built. Just put a line down it. If you really need to, you can widen it a little bit. I would make it 20 feet wide, 10 feet for cycles, two-way cycle track, and then 10 feet for pedestrians. This is how the Dutch do it, people. This is how they do it. It continues west past this Nice little area, which, by the way, I know that the lady who lives here, I used to deliver her mail many, many moons ago. It continues this way, past here until you're at Keystone, separated, or not separated, protected intersection. This is where the Starbucks is. This is where a radio station is. This is where the offices are. Suddenly you have connected up the university, what's called the university edition or whatever. It's basically, it's where a lot of single family dwellings are, connects you up to a, to the Rayleighs right here. So when people need to go grocery shopping, it connects everything up. This is way, way more than simple like Center Street. You can do this without having to obstruct vehicle traffic. You see where I'm going with this? So yeah, this is why I'm not worried about Center Street or what. It's like, yeah, okay. You guys can argue all you want about what street the cycle path, but I'm looking at where it would be best serving the community. I thought about maybe, okay, having the cycle path go over the freeway here and creating a bridge, but no, because you have this on-ramp that goes north, it's an upward slope. You don't have enough clearance. Okay. Making a bridge is too much trouble. One block over is Evans. Make it here. That's the best place to do it. Which Evans connects up to 5th. Evans connects up to the bus station at 3rd, where the Cycletrack can continue north, east and west on 3rd. It's right here next to the baseball stadium, connects south, and then over Lake Street, connects up southward till you get to Holcomb, Sinclair. Okay, so Lake, the name turns into Sinclair, but it's a straight line. Sinclair turns into Holcomb. Perfect place to put cycle infrastructure. I would also definitely recommend putting something on either Wells or the other place too, by the way, Kitski. Way over here, Kitski, we have a Nevada state route where if you go down to street level, you're going to see it's basically the backyards. It's like an alleyway turned into a major arterial road. Plenty of place for two-way cycle paths on both sides of the road. You can have two-way cycle. I mean, that's how much room there is, right? And then that connects you up to Plum, where the little St. Therese Church of the Little Flower is. And Plum can either be turned into a cycle track, which maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. It depends on how well it's done. Or it can go across Plum, a block north or south of it. Honestly, if I were to put a cycle track somewhere for local traffic, I would actually put it on Kazaza personally, because again, disentangling the road structure for cars from the road structure for bikes. Disentangle it. This used to be, you notice here, this street right here, I believe this used to go all the way through here, because this also used to be residential. So you see how and they have that little mini roundabout right there. Perfect. So that means that if you take the Holcomb cycle track and terminate it right here, right in front of where Sprouts and everything is, right where the cycles need to be, then they can use this street, it used to be a street, to get over here. I mean, that could be your cycle track. There's so many ways that you can utilize the infrastructure that we've been slowly chipping and removing for use of bikes, because bikes don't need that much room. They don't need a whole bunch of stuff. It's just 10 feet. It's like having a wide sidewalk. It's just 10 feet. And if you were to do that, if you were to connect it up using this little street, see how I'm thinking? I'm just kind of thinking on the fly here. If you connect up this street right here and then go south, guess where you're at again? If you cross Plum, you're suddenly at the Red Experience. And I looked at this very carefully. It goes right past the Century Theater. They have this area that's very weird. I walked through this area. I highly encourage, even if you're not going to go see movie theater, go walk through this area. They've created no infrastructure at all for bicyclists, even though there's this area. I think it goes down this part right here. It's this weird little, there's like compacted sand or gravel that they put here because I think that there's utility lines. I think there's a sewer line or something underneath here. You see where these manhole covers are? They can't do anything with it. They can't do anything with it other than just put like weird little decorations and stuff. Right there was your cycle track, people. Put the cycle track on the areas that you can't do anything else with that goes to the areas you need to get to. You're utilizing the infrastructure that is there and then converting it into something that actually has utility, that actually has function. This is going to be a major area where there's lots of density. Residential, commercial, mixed use. Use it. It's right there. Anyway, I'm going to stop here, but my plans continue on even further south, all the way down to Meadowood Mall, past that, all the way down to the Summit Sierra, where the other Century Theater is. I mean, I got plans, formulating them, making my dream lines, utilizing this park right here, for instance, because this connects up on the outskirts of. So here's forest. You can continue forest down until you get all the way down to I think it's Limbury. This is the perfect place for a cycle track. Continue on down Limbury until you get to here, and this is where that new Moana place is that they just broke ground, and they're hailing as this big, wonderful, activity and fitness places, but no cycle infrastructure. Come on, take your cycles down. If you're going to get fit on the way down there, okay? Right here, this is the perfect place. You take that cycle structure, you put it right down next to this field, make a turn. You're right in between here, which is use nothing for more than just storage right now. And then make another turn. You go past the UFW place. Look at this. It goes right down here. I mean, this is the perfect place to have another cycling hub, to encourage people to use their cycles. And right here, this is owned right here by the Atlantis, okay? But it's the Cochrane Ditch. They can't do anything with it. Put the cycle track there. Continue on further south. I'm not stopping. I'm going to continue rambling. Continue on south. Bring the cycles here in front of this area. What is this? The Old Town Mall? Revitalize the area. Bring more traffic. Stop making parking lots. And what happens if you continue on south through here? Suddenly, you're at this beautiful little green space that cuts through a parking lot that goes around here, right here where the welfare office is. There's a library in here. This is where they have the Job Connect area for people to find jobs. It connects you up. You go through this green space around the perimeter, and suddenly you're at this area that is not being used for anything. It's owned by the Elks Lodge. Let's see if they'll be willing to allow people out of charity to have their cycle track continue on further south. And right here, if you look across the street, Walmart, Sam's Club, all of the major commerce area here. This area is once again a hub, a potential hub for cycle traffic to bring people to where they need to go. Have you ever tried taking a bike on this area just to get the safest place to get to a bike to a way to get into Walmart through here is to go through the auto garage area. Ain't that ironic, right? And I'm dodging like 18-wheeler trucks and everything to get through this. No, you don't have to do that. Look right here. All of this needless landscaping that does nothing. It just makes things look pretty, but it has no purpose whatsoever. Right here could be the area where cycles come through somehow. We'll figure it out. I have a plan. And where are you? Right over here on the other side. In other words, for instance, if this area where the Elks Lodge is, where the Cochrane Ditch is, where they can't really do anything with it, suddenly makes a right turn and starts heading west through useless parking area that really just doesn't serve anything. On the other side is Manzanita Park, another cycle path, another routing of cycles. This is a cul-de-sac that goes nowhere. See how right here it goes past these homes? You see how there's some asphalt right there next to there? This is a cycle path in the rough. It connects you directly up to Manzanita Lane, Street. I forgot what it's called, but it's Manzanita. Freaking huge. This thing is freaking huge, people. Look at this. Look at this, the size of this compared to the cars. This is a car lane. So we have like, let's count the lanes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 different lanes of like, this is crazy. Why are we doing this? Okay. Probably was planned as another major arterial, but it didn't happen. Okay. That's what my guess is. This connects you up to another park, which connects you up to, where are we back again? We're back at, see how it connects up to the other side of the lake? See how it connects up to Plumas, where the golf courses are? This area here is a wonderful place to connect people with cycles through the park, 2 blocks over from all of this. And have you noticed this? This is where people are walking anyway. This is private property. They're quote unquote doing it illegally. Like I heard the city council talk about how people are using the areas that are near the airstrip. People are paving their own path for pedestrian infrastructure to get from point A to point B, because there's no sidewalk here. It's better to go through a dry field than use the streets. So give them what they need. Give them what they want. People are already using it. So just make it official. Create a little pathway somewhere around here. Maybe it could go down through here. Maybe it can go along. Maybe they could make it right here, because remember, this is where Manzanita Junction is. If you just connect it south right here, hey, there we go. Have it connect through here, and then have it take over here. They have this is stupid. They have, it's ADA compliant, sure. I guarantee you no one is using these benches for anything. They're in the sun. There's no shade. Why would you want to sit on a concrete bench in the middle of nowhere next to a ramp? Maybe after huffing and puffing to get up that ramp, you might need them, but no, use this right here. This is your grade. This is your path. This takes you directly to what could be a roundabout right here, a junction. And then where are you right next to? You're right next to the convention center. This is convention center parking lot, convention center parcel. They own it. They can't do anything with it. Why? Well, you got the Cochrane Ditch there again. So you have a major strode with no pedestrian or bicycle friendly infrastructure at all, right next to the Atlantis, right next to the major convention center for the entire area here. Have the cycle path use what is currently being used as useless landscaping. Have it go south here to this park, which is not used by anyone. Have the cycle path tunnel underneath this area. Just like if you think this is impossible, just go over to Sparks Boulevard in Sparks. They got tunnels that weave in and out of Sparks Boulevard. It's wonderful. You don't even have to stop. Okay, so make a tunnel that goes underneath here and then connects people up to the opposite side, and then have it go across here to this parking lot where Spirit Halloween has their permanent residence. Yes, that's a joke. And connects people up to this cycle path over here. You see how I'm connecting things up? Okay, I'm going to stop for real this time. I think I've given you plenty of room to think, plenty of food for thought. There are so many possibilities that we have for cycles in this little town that we call Reno. Oh man, I haven't even gotten to the point of talking about the post-apocalyptic nightmare that is the Reno portion of the Reno, or sorry, the Tahoe Pyramid Bike Trail. Oh my God. It's like, I'm just waiting for zombies to come leaping out from this thing. There's so much possibility with this, but I'll leave that for another video. This is enough rambling for now. I don't care about Center Street. I'm caring about the infrastructure as a whole and getting places from point A to point B quickly and efficiently in an area that is highly, highly ripe for this sort of thing. So yeah, let's talk about this. Shameless plug, I have a Discord channel. I'm probably going to link it in the description for this video because we need to talk about this stuff. So yeah, this is what I'm passionate about. This is, I mean, I ask anyone, ask Kai. I've been talking about nothing about infrastructure since May. So yeah, let's talk about it. All right, I'm going to stop now. Thank you very much for watching. Talk to you later.